Hey guys, what's up? Excoundrel here, and today we are going to be looking at joystick versus tap controls. There's been a lot of discussion in the community about how joystick controls have made stutter stepping easier, and how there are some advantages for joystick users that are maybe unfair for tap users, but we're going to try and cover most of that where we can. So in this video, we're going to have a Ringo stutter step test. We're going to do some joystick gameplay talking about the advantages and disadvantages, and at the end of the video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of both. So this Ringo stutter step test is using this build that you see on your screen. We're going to have standing still, tap stutter step, and joystick stutter step, and we're going to be doing it with and without twirling silver activated. Simply because I want to test low attack speed with just one attack speed item versus a high attack speed when you have the twirling silver enabled. So what we do is we start Ghost Claw at the same time on every single one, and we use tap stutter step, joystick stutter step, and we just let Ringo attack it by himself, just standing still as well. So, as you can see, standing still and tap stutter step finish it just slightly before joystick stutter step, and that is simply because you need to time your joystick attack taps at lower attack speeds. You cannot spam the attack button on joystick because this results in lower DPS. Every time that you hit the attack button on joystick, it sends a command to the hero to try and search for a basic attack. If you are tapping quicker than your hero's attack speed, it will search for a basic attack that it cannot perform because the attack speed is not there. So you'll cancel a attack speed animation, and that will just delay your next basic attack, giving you a slightly lower attack speed overall and giving you a lower DPS overall. That is why you need to time your basic attack taps with the predicted attack speed that your hero has at that level. Obviously, though, if you up the attack speed and it becomes very, very quick and you spam the attack button on joystick, you're going to get a slightly more beneficial outcome. So this is basic attack stood still, tap stutter step, and joystick stutter step as well. And as you can see, somehow standing still went quicker, but all of them were just about the same time. And you can see joystick and tap stutter step were pretty much identical. At higher attack speeds, it is much more fluid because every tap that you put down is going to result in an immediate basic attack, simply because you are tapping as quickly as your hero can basic attack, and therefore it's going to queue up a basic attack every single time, which results in a more fluid, essentially cancelling of the animation directly into another basic attack. So this is one of the things, at lower attack speeds you have to be a bit more careful about how you stutter step. Even as tap, you can't spam the tap button because the same thing will happen. So you just need to be a little bit more careful about how you use it. At high attack speeds you can spam that button like crazy. Joystick stutter stepping is good, by the way, and at high attack speeds it's great across the board if you also time the attack button at lower attack speeds. The reason joystick stutter stepping is good is because you automatically cancel your auto attack animation, and you don't actually have to tap anywhere else on the screen to focus on your movement. You can move with the joystick at all times, and you can tap the attack button, and it will automatically cancel and go straight back to moving without having to do anything with your joystick finger that controls movement. The other thing that makes joystick stutter stepping really good is that when you hover on the attack button to lock on a target, so you hover on your basic attack button, it shows you that hero's basic attack range. It shows you exactly the maximum range that you need to be to land a basic attack, which is not a luxury that you get on touch controls, and it's something that you have to predict or just know by playing the hero a lot. So you get a small advantage with joysticks knowing how far you can actually land a basic attack, which is not something that you get with touch controls. So we're going to go into a gameplay video where I try to play Gwen with joystick controls against people of around my level. It was a casual game, but I ended up queuing into some tier 9s and tier 10s, and I was playing joystick. So I should be at a disadvantage, right, if you compare touch to joystick. And in certain aspects I am, but joystick does give advantages, especially in the laning phase. And in this video, this sort of clip, I'm going to talk about why.
Move on out.
Alright, so I'm in a casual, and I'm going to be playing with joystick to kind of attempt to show some of the benefits and disadvantages of joystick. I'm in a game with people that you might recognize. Foskis, for instance, I know is a great player, so if he's playing top Kensei, I'm probably going to get boned and you won't be able to see any of this, but I'll try and illustrate what I can from the joystick. One of the major things about joystick is I'm actually against Gwen in a mirror matchup. One of the major things about joystick is that you can literally just tap on the minion button as soon as something's about to die, and it will automatically select the minion that is going to die and it'll automatically attack it, no matter where you are. Also, another benefit of Joystick is that you can see your attack range exactly. So you can see your attack range exactly, and that's really important because you can't do that on touch, and it also it shows you the limits at which you can go to attack someone. So I know that I have this little circle around me. I just need to get into that circle and spam my attack button, and that is good enough. Oops, I also accidentally attacked. So you can see this minion there is the one that's going to die next. This minion there is the one that's going to die next. You can see that it prioritizes the minions. If it doesn't, I think if there are no minions that are about to die, it prioritizes the captain minion or the strongest minion. I'm going to try and get into range of this guy. The problem with the auto lock feature is that if you lock onto somebody, it will automatically start to run towards them, and that can be a bit of a pain in the butt. So the Catherine being in lane was good for me, but also did mean that I am slightly behind the experience. Probably going to get camped here. I also have some great spam pings going on. I think the alpha is likely to come. I can't actually cancel it. I can cancel it. That was good. So you can see, like, I know exactly what my attack range is. So I know that if I lock onto her and get into a specific attack range, I can just spam that attack button and it will hit them. So that's one of the benefits of Joystick, as well as this farming benefit, that I can just tap that button and it will automatically farm for me. He's lost his passive, so I'm gonna... Oh god, that hurt like hell. I do not have the same kind of damage that the other Gwen has. I'm not actually going to go tension bow this game. I'm looking to play an attack speed heavy build to try and complement Joystick, because one of the things that Joystick does do well is that at high attack speeds it's really easy to kite. A lot of people keep talking about stutter stepping, and we looked at the damage difference in stutter stepping earlier on, even though I really don't think it makes that much difference overall. But one of the things that Joystick definitely does do better than touch for most players in general is the fact that you can stutter step seamlessly at the high attack speeds really easily. Stun, nice, there we go. So you can stutter step like seamlessly at high attack speed. So what I'm trying to do this game is go for a higher attack speed build so we can see that in action, and just get on with it basically. That is the worst, but for some reason I can see there.
Alright, gang. Move on out.
For some reason I could see the red thing in the bush. It was a terrible, terrible scout cam. I'm getting used to joysticks, by the way. So the couple of the benefits that we've talked about is that farming benefit, especially if you're not great at farming with touch. It just automatically selects the minion for you. Have to be so careful here, Catherine. Also, one of the benefits is the fact that you know what your attack range is. You can lock onto a target. It does get kind of clunky. Does definitely get kind of clunky. Especially in teamfight situations, it can get really difficult to make this. Oh my god. Gonna back off here. She has used her pot. I think she might have tension bow. Let's have a look at the... No, she's just got the piercing spear. I'm gonna back off and pick up something else. Let's have a look. I'm just going to go 6 sins, maybe go a little bit of armor. This is probably something that I'm going to sell later, but I'll go a bit of armor just to give me some edge against the tension bow, because I know tension bow is going to be a pain in the butt. So there's the farming benefit, obviously. There's the fact that you can know your attack range, and there's also the fact that at high attack speeds it is easier to stutter step, because with touch you have to do two points in terms of tapping. You have to tap once and tap somewhere else, tap once and tap somewhere else. With joystick I can just focus on moving with my joystick naturally, and then just tapping the attack button. So you only have one tap to be concerned about. Good. Oh my god. And that is something that happens with joystick, because at lower attack speeds you just cancel your attack animations really quickly. if you were tapping, you would tap and it wouldn't attack until you got into that point. Unfortunately, when you click attack, it registers that you want to attack something, so it will cancel your animation and it will slow you down when chasing someone. So that's one of the drawbacks of Joystick. It is quite clunky. That might be something that gets ironed out, that basically it looks for someone to be in range before you attack. This is one of the reasons that makes it really good at stutter stepping. Okay, I think he didn't realize I had my flask still. So it'll automatically search for something to attack when you click the attack button, and if you're not quite in range, it will kind of stutter and won't complete the attack properly, which can be a bit of a pain in the butt. I completely see this because it's happened to me on a few times. But there are a lot of aspects of the joystick control in terms of basic attacks that makes it a lot easier. There are quite a lot of things that make your life harder on joystick though. Aiming skill shots is a lot less fluid than on touch, and also just using them at the right time and timing them properly without trying to overthink aiming them as well can be a bit of a pain in the butt. Oh god, I just messed up all my minions there. I'm gonna back off here and maybe go for the healing treant, but I don't think it's up. So I'm actually... She'll have flask, I won't have flask. So joystick in general can be a bit clunky overall when looking to engage. And that is something that's been kind of plaguing my gameplay with joystick. In fact, before this game I fed like crazy in 2 games because it was just impossible to play properly. I finally got the hang of it, but you'll notice that as the game goes on, lower attack speeds, joystick is really clunky on basic attack heroes. Higher attack speeds, it gets a little bit more fluid and is a little bit easier to play. The lock-on feature also automatically walks you towards someone, which can be really like a massive nuisance in teamfight situations if you aren't on top of that properly. See this? I can just harass and deter it for free because, oh my god, really? This is a pain, sorry guys. I can harass and deter it for free because I know exactly what my attack range is, but obviously in teamfight situations when I lock onto someone, it's going to be a right pain in the butt if I walk right into the enemy team. You know, and walk into an assassin for instance. I'm really scared about this alpha. I want to be super careful. So I'm trying to play like a proper game of joystick here. Oh, for goodness sake, alpha, really? Yeah, okay, there we go. So I kind of managed to play that quite well. The one benefit of the joystick layout is that the UI is really nice for like single tap stuff. So the UI in general I think is really nice for joystick. Oh, for goodness sake. So everything is really easy to access, so I could like hit my ultimate, hit my flask all in one go there, and I didn't really have to think about it too much. I'm gonna have a just quick check of Foski's, who is 301. So that's gonna be a pain, and he is very, very good, so I am not going to be too happy with the outcome of that bot lane, but regardless, is what's happened has happened. If I don't show you the rest of this game, guys, it's because we lost. So I've tried to cover as much as I can while playing the game and learning joystick. Obviously, it's quite difficult for me to do like 6 things at once, but I'm going to keep covering those points to make sure you're fully aware of what joystick can offer and what joystick doesn't do particularly well. I don't know if you've noticed, like in these fights, like I said, I've appeared quite clunky. The more attack speed I get, the less clunky I'm going to appear, and the more fluid I'm going to be in general when it comes to basic attack and team fights. Oh, for goodness sake. You can see there it also does automatically unlock from my target if I'm not careful. I did actually hit him, but he's too far away.
Yeah, so we totally won that game. Absolutely, I carried the whole thing with joystick, and it was great. Now, moving on to the joystick pros and cons, because this is where we are right now, and I think it's good to just kind of talk about this at the end of the video and discuss what kind of has come out of the playtesting that I've done, but also the couple of the tests that we've done as well earlier on. The pros of joysticks controls. Stutter stepping is definitely easier. For your average player, you will find that stutter stepping is smoother and easier to get hold of. In part due to the fact that you can control your movement without ever having to move one of your fingers, and the rest of it is just tapping the attack button. Also that you can see your attack range indicator, and you can abuse that to stutter step it at max range, and you'll always know how close you need to be to your closest target to stay in the fight. You can also abuse the attack range indicator in lane to make sure you're trading at max range, which is always really beneficial. You also get a skill shot range indicator. How many times have you used Gwen's A or Lance's Impale, and you've always wondered how far you can fire that exactly? You get a more in-depth skill shot range indicator. You get the circle with Lance's Impale and the circle sometimes with Gwen's A ability, but this shows you exactly the cone and exactly where it's going to land and the width and everything. So you get an enhanced skill shot range indicator with joystick controls. Last hitting is easier, and you can do it automatically by tapping the minion button. And the in-game UI has a nice layout for just playing on a phone with just two hands, not having to move them. So it's a really easy in-game UI layout to use if you're using joystick controls. Joystick cons. Reaction time is definitely slower. You have to lock onto a target, then click the attack button. You have to use the skill shot range indicator, then click the skill shot, then use your next skill. So reaction times is always going to be slightly slower because there are extra processes to add into joysticks than there is to touch. So at the very top level, you'll find that touch always trumps joystick because of those reaction times. Target selection and lock-on feels kind of clunky compared to touch, and that's for both auto attacks and skills. It doesn't feel as smooth as touch controls. And target selection locks you on. You walk towards that target. You don't quite get that fluidity of movement either. So it feels clunky, and when you play with it and you're a touch player, you'll understand. Maybe as joystick native players, it won't be the same, but as a touch player, you'll definitely understand this. You get less degree of fluid control, and what I mean by that is because of all those extra processes added in, you never really feel like you're in control of your hero the same way that you would be with touch controls. So whilst you can still probably perform to 75-80% of what you could do on a touch control version of your hero, you never really feel like you're in the same level of control once you've played touch. And chaining abilities together is much, much harder. It's almost impossible to combo abilities properly together because of those extra processes, like I said. So those instant ability combos, like Scarf's igniting of the goop, the supernova or the core collapse into a supernova immediately, much harder to do on joystick controls than they are on touch controls. So there are some benefits and some drawbacks of joystick controls, but realistically, touch will reign supreme at the highest level of Vainglory. But I think joystick controls are a great addition to get people into the game, and then maybe they want to try out touch later and see how they fare. But also joystick controls are just better for smaller phone users too. Anyway, that's been my video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.